The graph below shows average carbon dioxide emissions per person in the United Kingdom, Sweden, Italy, and Portugal between 1967 and 2007. The line graph displays average carbon dioxide emissions each person in four different countries produced between 1967 and 2007. Overall, while per capita carbon emissions in the UK and Sweden went down over the course of this 40-year period, they went up in Italy and Portugal. Despite a steady decline from about 11 to 9 metric tons, emissions in the UK remained higher than in the other three countries over these 40 years. Sweden's emissions first rose from roughly 9 metric tons in 1967 to its maximum of about 10.5 metric tons in 1977. They then dropped significantly to only around 5.5 metric tons in 2007, making Sweden one of the smallest per capita emitters of carbon dioxide of the four countries that year. Average carbon dioxide emissions that each person in Italy was responsible for climbed gradually from approximately 4.5 to almost 8 metric tons between 1967 and 2007. In Portugal, each person only produced around 1.5 metric tons of emissions in 1967. This country's emissions then grew steadily and reached a similar level to Sweden's by 2007 at about 5.5 metric tons. The line graph illustrates the amounts of carbon dioxide emitted by each person in four countries from 1967 to 2007. It is clear that each Swedish or UK person released less carbon dioxide over the period researched, but carbon dioxide emissions in Italy and Portugal showed a rise. Citizens in the UK was responsible for the largest amount of carbon dioxide released all the time. In 1967, about 11 tons carbon dioxide was produced by a UK citizen, followed by 9 tons in Sweden. In comparison, each Italian discharged over 4 tons, which was approximately threefold higher than that of a Portuguese. From that time onward, the average quantity of carbon dioxide released in the UK decreased gradually to under 9 tons, while the figure for Sweden, after an 1 ton climb in the first decade, also went down moderately to well under 6 tons at the end of the period. In contrast, more carbon dioxide was produced by each person in Italy, whose figure grew to nearly 8 tons in 2007, compared with an equally significant increase to roughly 6 tons in Portugal. Some people say that the only reason for learning a foreign language is in order to travel to or work in a foreign country. Others say that these are not the only reasons why someone should learn a foreign language. Discuss both these views and give your own opinion. Some people claim that to travel or work abroad is the only reason for a person to learn a new language, while others argue that there are also other reasons. Although a person may not need to use another language when living in their own country, I agree with the latter viewpoint because those who can speak another language are more likely to become successful individuals. On the other hand, on the one hand, it can be argued that people living in their own country may find no occasion to communicate in another language. This is because they can accomplish any task using their mother tongue, such as doing a project at work, ordering food at a restaurant, or shopping at a grocery store. However, I disagree with this argument because while globalization, the chances of a person needing to interact with a foreign even when they are in their own country have greatly increased, which makes foreign language learning necessary. On the other side of hand, learning a second language can increase a person's chances of success in life. Thanks to social media, one now can connect with and learn from people in other countries without flying to those countries as long as one speaks their language. Take the Chinese entrepreneur Alex Ong, for example. He would not have been able to go from being broke to being multimillionaire if he had not mastered English, which allowed him to network with and get inspiration from American businessmen in a Facebook group. I agree with this opinion because, after all, everyone wants success in life. In conclusion, while there may be no need for people living in their native country to use a foreign language, I believe those who have acquired one are more likely to success in life. Acquisition of a second language has long been considered by many to be an important part of education, but some believe that it is unnecessary for the majority of people who do not intend to travel or work in other countries. While it is true that most people that study a language in school may never get the chance to use it, there are benefits to studying language beyond an increased capacity to communicate. The largest argument against learning foreign language is most common to citizens of English-speaking countries, and it concerns the relative usefulness of a second language as compared to studying something more immediately relevant to their lives. They believe, with some justification, that everyone else knows English anyway, making their studies pointless. While it is true that English is the lingua franca of our time, the ability to communicate is only one of the benefits of language acquisition. There are many notable benefits for the brain when we learn new tongues. For example, it has been proven to reduce the chance of dementia in the elderly and keep our brains healthy for longer. Learning a language also allows you to experience other cultures and access information in a way that is impossible to achieve with Google Translate. Even though, especially for English speakers, it might seem to be unnecessary to learn a second language, the benefits of doing so are uncountable. It is impossible to understand foreign peoples and their cultures without learning their lexicon, and in the modern world, that seems to be a more important skill than ever before. Here is the end of today's video.